وليش أفقدش
أزول أمقران أزول زيور زير جابر بور نهار ديج مغرطة مقاوم ديج اللقاء أقصد السيورة مغينا ومثلا قيادة التمز مدينة لقيو شغل مش ندي باجا باش التقديم خمينتي. I'm trying to be nice. I might translate that in English. I'm going to try to be my speech in English. Everyone can understand it. Of course, you. Anyway, my speech is in English. So I'm going to start with Muhammad bin Abdul Karim al-Khattabi, something that he said a long time ago. He says, I'm responsible for these people who should stay alive and may be overpowered, but next generation should not be defeated. I surrender to allow my people to survive. In this way, they will prevail in the future. I go away and my people remain. You remain. I'm going to start. The first thing is that general outlining about this movement. Forward. The universality of human rights constitutes a basic principle and general reference that regulates international relations and prisons. It is due to this reference that many indigenous people have been liberated in the context of eradicating colonialism and implementing the principle of the right of self-determination. As a mechanism that guarantees people's right to build their own nation state and choose the appropriate political form and type and nature of relationship with other people and nations in accordance with international law that aims at supporting international peace and coexistence. In the light of the content of the United Nations charters that deal with people's right to choose its own political form and manage its economic resources to achieve prosperity and strengthen international cooperation and solidarity, the Riffian or Riffi people do comply with all descriptions of legal and human rights adopted by the United Nations to self-determination and be the form of their own modern state and choose the type and nature of the relationship with the international community within a framework of international legitimacy. Given that this population has been subjected to many attempts of genocide by the Moroccan regime, which which does not have any historical or large legitimacy to control their reef. This population has also been subject to economic, social and cultural oppression at the hands of this regime. That is, it excludes the Riffians from managing their own wealth and economic resources and employs the policy of forced migration as one mechanism among other tools. Then we can, in addition, through the policy of Arabization, the regime has obliterated the language, culture and identity of the Rif, and these are all acts that are criminalized in chapters of international law and related covenants and conventions. Accordingly, the Riffian or Riffi people appeal to the United Nations and international communities to support its demands and aspiration to regain its stolen freedom and build its modern state in order to promote international peace and security in the southern Mediterranean. That lives under serious threats and the rise of extremists, fundamentalists, and threaten peace and security. The second chapter is reasons why we carry forward for that. The Riffian population with all its tribes, which are spread throughout all the geographical territory of the Rif and has long history that dates back many centuries, has lived in complete independence of all type of central authorities in Marrakesh, currently Morocco, and of direct and indirect. For direct and indirect dependencies on political system that ruled in the Middle East, the Rif throughout its long history has been managed by its own citizens, and according to a control, political and a social system in times of war and peace. It is a system that excluded the inheritance of power except during the rule of Emirates that have theologically backgrounds, which did not last long. It was a deliberative system, among those who have qualifications, eligibility and prestige in tribes that adopted local amazigh more as the sole source of legislation. And pedagogy was never adopted as a source of legalization, as it is now in the light of the Moroccan colonial regime. The Rif in its modern history adopted a republican system, the first Rif Republic being established in 1926, last to 1921, last 26, being the Moroccan, the Riffi government being destroyed, whatever happened. Was created by the Riffians under the leadership of Mohammed bin Abdul Khattabi following the victories of colonial powers, has realized great achievements both by defending land and rights. The Riffians created modern institutions of justice, governance and legislations, a constituted assembly, parliaments, government and judicial body, the legislative, the executive and judiciary branches pursue to the highest principles of the separation of powers and adoption of the principle of the will of the people as the source of the authority of government. See the Declaration of Independence of the Rif Republic in the annex. When you got that box with you, that booklet or that brochure, you can see the annex that I'm talking about at the last page of this booklet. The leadership of the First Rif Republic founded the pillars and structures of the modern sovereign state that adopted a national currency, a flag, and nationally credited anthem. This Rif addressed the international community as a state with the full sovereignty of its Riffian territory. The current Moroccan regime, which controls the Rif without any mandate from the population, has to provide the Riffians of all the rights, especially the basic ones, such as people's right to participate in the management of public affairs of the country, either directly or through freely chosen representatives, as recommended by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And in other related international covenants, particularly in the international covenant are civil and political rights. The Moroccan regime, as a dictatorial regime and based on religious theocracy, which is consistent with the principle of the will of people, is the source, which is one of the most important principles of democracy, and ruled with an iron, first instead of returning to the people as the source of power. The Moroccan regime, which is rejected by the Riffians and yet imposed on them, have drowned the Rif in blood either in modern history after 1956, 1958, 1959, 1984, 2005 and 2011 just recently. That's they born four very nice people that I teach. This is very surprised when I've seen four teenagers like 18, 17, 19 being burned in a bank, a local bank, and they accuse them because they came to the bank to steal. This is really disgusting. And 2012 as well, during the campaigns of repression waged by the Alawites, Al-Alawiyin state, unfortunately, against the Riffians since its founding in 1659, 1696, 1766, 1810, 1812, 1864, 1890, and 1998, etc. And during these campaigns, the state aimed at committing genocide in the Rif, and this crime against humanity are not subject to statutes of limitations. The Moroccan regime, which shares the ideas and culture of the pan-Arab, was committed countless crimes against the language and Amazigh culture of the Rif by adopting the policy of Arabization, unfortunately, in order to separate people from their language, culture and human civilization and blur their identity and intangible heritage. The Riffian population, both those who speak Tenerife or Darija, on the basis of their common struggles and aspirations, are united in terms of their common feelings, history and goals or aims. Riffian characteristics, therefore the Riffians should enjoy the right to establish a system of governance which is consistent with their aspirations, choose the political epicenter and manage the economy and natural resources, and these are legitimate rights. The Moroccan regime adopted a policy of looting the wealth and natural resources of the Rif without involving the Riffians in the management of these resources, of their resources and wealth. This is really disgusting. This is really something that we need to look at. The regime adopted the policy of economic marginalization, blocking free investment, confiscation of real property and capital transfer investments from the Rif to Morocco by using dangerous mafia methods. These have laid the structural fragility in the social fabric of the Rif. The Riffians, or Riffi people, dispersed inside and outside Morocco without any protection of the homeland, have become refugees without legal status. They are struggling at home and abroad. The last chapter I've got here is about goals. Because of the reason listed above and other reasons, and because of the changing situation at all levels in the Rif now, the 18th of September movement emanating from the Riffian people appeals to international communities to support their demands for the liberation of the Rif and its full independence of its lands with its historical and geographical borders, in order to build a Riffian modern state on the basis of sovereignty, freedom and independence. In this way, the Rif will achieve social and economic welfare of all Riffian population. The 18th of September movement announces the start of its work for the independence of the Rif. The movement asks all Riffians inside and abroad, and Riffians who believe in the option of independence from the Moroccan occupation to intensify a force which will contribute to the building of independence and sovereign right. And thank you very much.